Hey guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel, Mastering the Wedding Photography Biz.
I'm Hunter.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we are going to give you a peek behind the curtain at what we wear to high-end weddings and engagement sessions and how we settled on our work uniform even in the earliest days of our business.
And trust us, looking like a professional photographer and dressing comfortably for like 8 or 10 hours on a wedding day do not have to be mutually exclusive. So let's jump in.
So the whole reason that we decided to do a video about what we wear to photograph portrait sessions and what we wear to photograph wedding days is because we honestly get this question a lot from our photography students, and we see a lot in, Facebook groups, especially from people who are asking about their very first wedding day. The problem is, a lot of the times, most of the answers we see other people saying kind of make us want to cringe.
Yeah, and part of the issue here is that there's no real standard. Like, if you worked in a restaurant, you can ask your boss about the dress code. You can look around at what the other employees are wearing and kind of get a good idea for what you should be wearing. Or maybe there's an industry standard. So if you work in an attorney's office, there's an industry-wide expectation of suits or formal wear.
But for most of us, running our own photography businesses means that we are our own bosses and that we have no coworkers. So the decision is really up to you at the end of the day. And while there are no true rules about how to dress like a professional photographer, there are definitely some things that we believe can hurt your business or help your business depending on how you answer this question.
And the thing is, professional means something different to everyone. Now, hopefully we can all agree that if you are being paid by strangers to take their photos, you are a professional photographer. And professionals in almost any industry typically avoid the basic things like clothing with explicit language or inappropriate images or clothes that are overly revealing. You're not gonna wear lingerie to your sessions.
But beyond that, beyond those sort of basic consensus things, there's really not a ton of agreement about what to wear to photograph a wedding or an engagement session or a family session. And what we are definitely not going to do is claim that we have somehow cracked the code or that what we've decided is right and is the industry standard for all photographers.
Yeah. But we are going to use the rest of this video to explain what we decided was appropriate for us and, more importantly, that fit our brand and why we've chosen to stick to those convictions throughout the entirety of our business.
So you've probably heard the old phrase, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And since the very beginning of our wedding photography business, Sarah and I knew that one day we wanted to be high-end wedding photographers.
So from the very beginning, we tried to pay attention to what those photographers were wearing for their wedding days. And what we found as we did our research was that a lot of photographers in the ultra high-end market were dressing more like wedding guests, as if they could just take off their cameras and fit right in during the cocktail hour.
And early in our career, as we mentored under one of the world's best photographers and assisted him all over North America, and often on wedding weekends that had budgets of close to or even over $1 million, we found that this was true from our actual real world experience as well. And so the photography and videography teams, sometimes which had 5, 6, 7 people on them, basically everyone who was a part of these teams was wearing either formal suits or formal dresses. And so we decided that we would do the same, even though at the very beginning of our business, we were often shooting weddings that had budgets of just a few $1,000s. And I don't mean photography budgets, I mean total budgets.
Now, obviously, we did not show up to a casual backyard wedding in a tuxedo and a floor-length formal dress. That'd be totally ridiculous. But we've always tried to get a feel for what the attire was gonna be for the wedding day and what was gonna be appropriate for us. And we dressed accordingly. And what we found really surprised us.
So the first thing that we found when we started dressing this way was that people immediately started taking us more seriously. And whether we're talking about other photographers who are sort of vying for that same spot at this popular, portrait session location, or we're talking about rowdy wedding parties, or even momzillas that our brides warned us were going to be a huge pain on the wedding day, we're going to question our every move. We found that when we dressed like professionals, we were treated like professionals. And because no matter what culture you live in or are a part of, dressing formally has this subconscious communication of professionalism and importance and experience and expertise.
Not only did this instill confidence in our couples and communicate to them that we take this job seriously, but it was also good for our brand. It was like a mini marketing moment for everyone who saw us.
Because if wedding guests at the weddings that you're shooting are used to seeing wedding photographers dressed in athleisure or, a pair of jeans and a t-shirt, and we roll up in a formal suit and a formal dress, we imagine them sort of looking at each other and saying like, wow, the bride and groom must have really splurged on wedding photographers. I can't wait to see what their work looks like. I can't wait to see their final photos. Because again, they just sort of automatically associate people who dress very nicely or very formally with people who are high-end, expensive, professional.
Yeah. Another kind of added benefit is that dressing up also made us feel more confident. There have been a ton of studies that show that psychologically, dressing more formally can make people feel more confident. Like wearing glasses can make people feel more intelligent, and wearing pajamas can make people feel more sleepy. Like what you wear has an effect on how you feel. And this was even more important when we were brand new to wedding photography and we're just kind of like faking it until we figured it out. And it helped us to feel more confident in those stressful moments.
And now, after wearing these outfits to hundreds of weddings and engagement sessions and portrait sessions, it's basically become like a uniform to us. And so when we wake up on the morning of a wedding day and, I put on my suit or Sarah puts on her, floor-length black dress, we feel like superheroes who are sort of putting on our super suits before the battle, right? We're sort of communicating to ourselves on this deeper subconscious level, like it's go time. And we're about to get out there and lead the crap out of this wedding day or this engagement session. And that just wouldn't be the case if we were going to wear something that was like basically the same as what we woke up and wore on every other day, right? We wouldn't have that sort of psychological effect.
So let's dive into some specifics of what Hunter and I have decided works for us and fits our brand. Keep in mind, we aren't saying that this is like necessarily the best for everyone. If you've built your brand on being like a contrarian, punk rock, wedding photographer who like bucks the trends and hates cliches, then maybe you're going to wear like your ripped jeans and like a cool leather jacket to the wedding.
And that's fine, because that's what you have built your brand on and what your couples know and are expecting from you, because that's what they saw when they hired you.
Likewise, if you're an adventure photographer who like lives in the mountains and loves 5 a.m. hikes for your elopements and your engagement sessions, then like hiking boots and cargo pants like might be the perfect fit for your brand. I don't know about cargo pants though.
It's a thing.
It's a thing.
Hikers love them. But anyway, assuming that you are like most photographers that we know and that we work with, you might consider doing something similar to what we do. And so for starters, we sort of think about what we do in sort of 4 different levels of formality or how formal we dress. And the first is what we call date night vibe, which we reserve basically for engagement sessions or surprise proposals with our couples.
And for me, this is usually just like a nice pair of jeans with a nice shirt or a blouse or a sweater like this. Or sometimes like a skirt or like a cocktail length dress in like the summer when it's swampy. It's casual enough that we don't feel out of place wandering around a winery or like a local park with our couples, but it's not so casual that it looks like our engagement session was something we just like stopped in and did between our workout and running some errands.
And so for me, this usually means pants, boots, and some sort of shirt with a collar on it, maybe a sweater if it's a little bit colder. But even when we are shooting like mid-dead summer here in Virginia, where it is almost 100 degrees outside with like 97% humidity, I still tell myself that if our guys have to wear pants and a collared shirt and closed-toed shoes, then I have to do the same.
The next level of formality is actually semi-formal, which we pull out for more casual weddings, especially ones that happen in like the middle of the heat of the summer or happening at farm venues or on the beach. I'll usually wear like a cocktail length dress or like a skirt blouse combo, and Hunter will wear dress pants and a button up, but like no tie or jacket. We did a lot of weddings like this early in our career, and we don't really do many of these anymore.
Yeah. Now, for most weddings, we go to sort of that third level, which we just call typical wedding formal. And so for me, this is a full suit, although I always take the jacket off once the dance floor opens. But it might not necessarily be like a very formal suit, right? It might be like a blue or a green suit, or it might even be like a nice pair of dress pants and a blazer that coordinate. It looks like a nice outfit, but it's not necessarily like a single color of a matching suit. And for this sort of typical wedding formal, Sarah will usually wear a dress that is, a little bit more formal than what she'll wear to that like summer wedding or that beach wedding. Sometimes cocktail length, sometimes floor length, but you wouldn't look at it and say like, oh, that's a gown.
Yeah, speaking of gown, the final level of formality is black tie, and we reserve this for weddings that like actually list black tie as the dress code on the invitation. This typically means that guests are expected to wear tuxedos or a formal gown. And although we might not go like quite to that level. Like, Hunter's only going to wear his nicest black suit to these types of weddings, and like sometimes with a tie or a bow tie, and I only wear like floor-length formal dresses.
Now, here are a few stories from some of our past experiences that have shown us what we absolutely want to avoid when photographing wedding days or engagement sessions.
So the first one is what we call the grocery store vibe, and we kind of came up with this after a few years ago when we pulled up to an overlook kind of outside of Charlottesville. It's like a super popular spot for engagement sessions, and we got out of our car, popped our trunk, and just before we could pull out our camera bag, a woman actually walked over to us. She had like a dual camera harness on, so we immediately knew she was another photographer. But she was wearing like a pair of workout shorts, a like comfort color shirt from a sorority formal, and a pair of running shoes with her hair just like in a messy bun, no makeup. She was just like chilling.
And, she was like, "Hi, are you Jason and Brandy?" Or, she called us some names. And we were like, "No, we're actually photographers too." We were, sort of getting our cameras out. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I had no idea. You guys are dressed so nice. I assumed you were here to get your photos taken." And she just sort of smiled and walked away. And obviously we didn't say anything to her in that moment. But as we were, we did our session, we're driving home, and we chatting about it. And we realized that in that moment, we both had the same exact thought, which was, wow, the way we dressed for basically every engagement session looked so nice to her that it didn't even cross her mind that we were also photographers.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, if she didn't have her cameras on her, we would have assumed that she had like shown up to this overlook with some friends who were just like there for the sunset, or like she was just stopping at this overlook on her way back from the gym. We wouldn't have assumed that she was a professional photographer.
And so if we were her couple, we feel like this definitely could have communicated to us that she just doesn't take her job all that seriously. Like, their engagement session is, something that she kind of did between running errands and heading to the grocery store. And so that's why we made it a rule very early on to avoid sneakers, sandals, shorts, yoga pants, leggings, t-shirts, hats. I mean, really anything that we felt was just too casual to communicate, hey, we take this seriously and we're professionals.
Now, the next look that we avoid is what we call the caterer look. This is, the classic like black pants with like a black button-up shirt, the black shoes vibe that we almost always see photographers over 40 recommending to people who ask about what they should wear.
Now, here's the thing. Our brand isn't built on us being, just another vendor at your wedding, right? We don't want to blend into the background like those stage hands who like move the stage around in the background of a play. And what we definitely don't want is guests coming up to us and handing us their drinks at the end of the cocktail hour because they think we are, the waiting staff, right? We understand that as wedding photographers, we are going to be an absolutely integral and pivotal part of our couple's wedding days. And so we just feel like there's no point in pretending like we aren't there. Plus, it's not like wearing all black actually makes you blend into the background, right? It's not a green suit on a green, like on a green screen like they do for movies. People are going to see you, and so we might as well look nice. Now, the caveat here is, on the other hand, like if you are a very photojournalistic shooter who likes to sort of blend into the background, then like maybe this does make a little bit more sense for you.
Yeah. The third look that we avoid is just being uncomfortable. Like, the other most common thing that we see other photographers telling people who ask the question is like, be comfortable. That's what that is what's most important. Mm-hmm. But like the thing is, you don't like being comfortable and dressing professionally are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah, right? Like, you can be comfortable without wearing, athleisure or very casual clothes. And so for us, some of the things that we have done is, like, for example, I have invested in dress shoes and in boots that I can wear for 8 or 10 hours in a row and still, my feet still feel fine the next day, right? And they are obviously going to be more expensive than a cheap pair of dress shoes, and they're not going to be quite as comfortable as if I was wearing sneakers all day, but they're going to look way more professional than if I'm wearing, some Nikes on the wedding day. Now, when it comes to, things like suits and dress pants and shirts and all of these things, I try to buy them from places like Lululemon or Ministry of Supply. So it feels like basically putting on a pair of workout pants or a dry fit t-shirt. At this point, honestly, most of my dress wear is made from that kind of material. So they're stretchy, they're breathable on hot days, they're machine washable, so I'm not going to the dry cleaning all the time. They're wrinkle proof and are actually really durable. Like, I have one black suit from the Ministry of Supply that I've probably worn to close to or maybe even more than 100 weddings.
Probably more.
And it doesn't even really look like it. Now, sure, this was, a $500 suit or something like that. So it wasn't like I bought this in our very first wedding season, but we looked at it as an investment in our brand, and I have definitely gotten my money's worth out of this suit at this point.
100%. And for me, dressing comfortably is really about two things, which I look for in really all of my clothing anyways, but that's pockets and my shoes. And if I can find like a formal or a semi-formal dress, the first thing I look for it in like a black or a neutral color that's not going to draw too much attention to myself. Like, I'm not the bride, the day's not about me. But the first thing that I do is always, always, always look for pockets. If I can't keep like a spare battery, a lens cap, and my phone on me at all times, I don't want to wear that to a wedding day. And of course, investing in shoes that look professional but can be worn for 8 to 12 hours is also super essential. And like, this is probably going to sound crazy to you. It sounded crazy to me the first time I realized it, but Crocs actually has some shoes that look absolutely nothing like the clogs that you wear to take the trash out and are atrocious, but they're made of that same material, so they're still comfy at hour 8, but they don't look out of place on a wedding day. And then just like another general hot tip for you guys, even though these are going to be like, they're super cute, they're a great alternative to dresses and skirts, I do not wear jumpsuits on a wedding day. And if you've ever worn one and then had to use a public restroom, you probably know why. But then add in the fact that when you go to the bathroom in a jumpsuit, you have to remove your camera straps and maybe like whatever sweater you wore, and you have to do it quickly so you can get back to work because some people don't tell you when the toast is coming up. Then you probably definitely should understand why it's not ideal for a wedding photographer.
And I can distinctly remember the one time you did wear a jumpsuit to a wedding day and you came out of the bathroom and you were like, I'm never doing this again.
I'm never doing that.
Didn't think about that. But guys, that is it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more great content and advice from us, then we would really recommend you join our Facebook community called Mastering the Wedding Photography Biz with Hunter and Sarah.
In that group, we are building a free community of other photographers who are also building their photography businesses and just helping each other out along the way, answering questions like this.
And of course, be sure to like, subscribe, comment if you have any questions, and just to help us with the algorithm gods. Guys, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye.